Welcome back. In this video we will learn about the XLOOKUP function and learn why it is a more powerful successor to the older VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP and index match functions. If I ask you which function should you use for your lookup tasks in Excel, your answer will be, it depends on the situation. You will say that VLOOKUP is best for vertical lookups or data which is in columns. HLOOKUP is best for horizontal lookups or data that is in rows. In a more complex situation, you will rely on the relatively recent index match combination. So there are different lookup functions for different tasks. But now it is not like that anymore. The good news is that the power and functionality of all of these lookup functions is integrated in a single function, that is the XLOOKUP function. XLOOKUP is a new function that was introduced in Excel 2021. It offers a number of benefits over older lookup functions like VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. The older lookup functions could not handle a lot of scenarios discussed later in this video. XLOOKUP function tackles all these challenges with a better performance. It's a more powerful, flexible and reliable lookup function than the previous ones. So it is the recommended lookup function to use in Excel 2021 and newer versions. In this video I will show you how to use the XLOOKUP function to perform various types of lookups like vertical lookups, horizontal lookups, two-way lookups, approximate lookups and wildcard character lookups. A quick reminder before we proceed further in the video, if you like the content on this channel, please subscribe and hit that notification button so that you can stay updated as I upload new videos like this. So let's get started. So what is XLOOKUP? XLOOKUP is a function that searches for a value in an array or a range and returns the corresponding value from another array or range. Here are some specific examples of how you can benefit from using XLOOKUP. So you can find the price of a product based on the product code. You can find the employee name based on employee ID, find the sales data for a specific region, find top 10 customers by sales. So here is a simple example of how to use XLOOKUP function in Microsoft Excel. You have this data employee ID and employee name. At another place in Excel you have employee ID only and you have to get the employee name on the basis of employee ID. So in this situation you can use the XLOOKUP function. Your lookup value will be employee ID. Then the lookup array will be these values here. Control shift down arrow on the keyboard, control backspace on the keyboard, F4 to fix it. Then return array. Your return array is employee names. So you will select the employee names here, F4 to fix it. Close the parenthesis, hit enter. Just drag this down. So you have got the employee names on the basis of employee ID. So this is a simple example of how you can use XLOOKUP function in Excel for your lookup tasks. As you can notice here, I have ignored some of the arguments which are optional here, like if not found. If I like, I can also enter some text here. If the names are not found, I can write name not found. In that case, there will not be any error and Excel will return name not found. Then match mode. By default, the XLOOKUP function selects exact match. That means default value is 0. But if you want, you can select the exact match or next smaller item -1, or 1 for exact match or next larger item, or 2 wildcard character match. So these are the options you have available here. Then you have another optional parameter, that is search mode. You can search from first to last. Default is 1, that means search from first to last, but if you want you can also search from last to first. Another search mode available here is binary search. Binary search is used in case your data is sorted in ascending or descending order. You can use 2 for data which is sorted in ascending order and -2 for data which is sorted in descending order. So the binary search is a more efficient method, but the requirement here is that your data should be sorted in ascending or descending order. Now let's look at the features of XLOOKUP that make it powerful and flexible. So XLOOKUP has a number of features that make it a powerful tool. For example, it can be used to perform approximate lookups. That means XLOOKUP function can find the closest match to a lookup value even if the exact match is not found. This feature can be helpful in a lot of scenarios. For example, assigning student grade on the basis of their score, assigning bonus to employees on the basis of target achieved. So we will look at some of these examples later in this video. Another powerful feature of XLOOKUP is multi-column lookups. That means XLOOKUP can be used to look up for values in multiple columns simultaneously. Next important feature of XLOOKUP is wildcard searches. So XLOOKUP can be used to perform wildcard searches, which means that you can use wildcards such as asterisks and question marks. Next is horizontal and vertical lookups. That means XLOOKUP can be used to search for data in both horizontal and vertical ranges, which eliminates the need to use separate functions like VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. In addition to these and other benefits, XLOOKUP is also easier to use than VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. It has a more intuitive syntax and fewer arguments to remember. Now let's look at another scenario where our data is arranged horizontally. That means our data is in rows. Here we have employee ID in the first row, then employee name in the second row. Then we have to find the employee ID on the basis of employee name. So here we will use the XLOOKUP again. Our lookup value will be employee ID. Lookup array will be this array here. F4 to fix it. Then the return array will be employee names. F4 to fix it. Close the parentheses, hit enter on the keyboard. Drag this formula right. So here you have the employee names on the basis of employee ID using the XLOOKUP function in Excel. Now you know that the XLOOKUP function can perform both vertical lookups as well as horizontal lookups. It makes the earlier VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP functions kind of obsolete or redundant because you have a brand new and all-encompassing XLOOKUP function. So earlier you used to use the index match combination to perform a two-way lookup. In a two-way lookup you have a 2-day array. To locate a particular item in this array, you first find the row, then the column which leads you to the address of that item. So let us look at how we can use the XLOOKUP function to perform a two-way lookup. So here in this example, I have the yearly sales data for different employees. In this situation, I have to get the sales on the basis of two input criteria, that is employee name and year. So this is a two-way lookup situation. In this case, let us say we have to get the sales of Dave for the year 2019. In this situation, we will again use the XLOOKUP function. Our lookup value will be name. Lookup array will be the list of names here. We'll fix it. Then the next parameter is return array. For return array, again we will use the XLOOKUP function. Lookup value is this value here, year. Lookup array is list of years. F4 to fix them, comma return array. In this case, the return array will be all these values here, all this 2D array. Control and backspace on the keyboard, F4 to fix it. Close the first lookup function, close the second XLOOKUP function, hit enter on the keyboard. So here you have the values. Dave for the year 2019, this is the value here, 271518. Now suppose we change the name from Dave to Emily. You have the revised value here, 323159. So 323159 here. Here's an extra tip for you. In case you are faced with a situation like this where you have to use two-way lookup, you won't enter the names manually. Instead, you will use data validation. You will use the list of names as a drop-down list. So under the data tab, click on data validation. Under validation criteria, select list here. Then for source, refer to this employee names here, whole range. Click on OK. So you have the employee names as a drop-down list. Again, for year also you will do the same thing. Under the data tab, go to data validation. Under validation criteria, select list. For source, you will refer to this range here. Click on OK. Now simply select the employee name, select the year. You will get the sales amount accordingly, corresponding to that employee name and that year. Next is approximate match lookups. So XLOOKUP can find the closest match to a lookup value even if the exact match is not found. Approximate match lookups are helpful in a lot of situations. For example, assigning grades to students on the basis of their score when you only have the upper bound or the lower bound of the grading criteria. So here in this example, we have the marks obtained by different students. We also have the grading criteria here. The grading criteria is score 0 to 10, F grade 11 to 20, E grade 21 to 30, D grade, and so on and so forth. Now to assign grades to students on the basis of their score, you have to first get the lower bound or the upper bound of the grading criteria. So we will get the lower bound here. We will type 0 here, 11 here, then we will press Ctrl E, flash fill will kick in and it will fill all the other cells. Now go here in this cell, use the XLOOKUP function. You are going to look up for this value here, marks. Your lookup array will be these values here, F4 to fix it, comma, return array will be these values here, grades, F4 to fix it, comma, if not found, let's ignore it, comma, then match mode. For match mode you will use -1 here, that is exact match or next smaller item, because we are using the lower bound here. Had we taken the upper bound, in that case we had to use 1, so we will use -1 here in this case, comma, we will ignore the search mode, hit enter on the keyboard, then drag this down. So here you have the grades of students on the basis of their score. Let's check it. 71, it comes in this range, 61 to 100, that is A+. Let's check the grades for Oliver, that's grade E, 18. 18 is in this range, 11 to 20, E, so that's correct. Now let's understand the logic behind approximate match lookups. Here Jack has marks 71. The XLOOKUP function searches 71 in this range, in the lookup range. Since 71 is not there, it then searches the next smaller item, that is 61, then assigns a grade A+ to Jack. So you can observe Jack has a grade A+. Similarly, it searches for 60 here for Kevin in this range. Since 60 is not there, it then searches the next smaller item, that is 51 here. Since the grade corresponding to 51 is A grade, so the XLOOKUP function assigns A grade to Kevin. As you can see here, Kevin has A grade. So this is the logic behind approximate match lookups. You can also perform a partial match lookup using the XLOOKUP function. To perform a partial match lookup, set up the match mode argument to 2, which instructs the XLOOKUP function to process wildcard characters. The wildcard characters include an asterisk sign, which represents any sequence of characters, and a question mark, which represents any single character. Let's look at an example. Here we have company names and the sales for each of these companies. Let's say I am looking for sales of a company whose name starts with Acme. I don't know what is the full name of the company. I just know that the first name of the company is Acme. In this case, let's use the XLOOKUP function again. The lookup value is Acme. Since we don't know the full name, so we will put an asterisk sign here. Keep it in double quotes because it's a text string. Then comma, lookup array. Our lookup array is these values here. Then return array or sales values here. Comma, if not found, let's ignore if not found. Then match mode. I have to set match mode to 2. That means wildcard character match. Let's set it to 2. Then comma, search mode. Let's set search mode to 1. That's we will search from first to last. Close the parenthesis, hit enter on the keyboard. So here is the result, 2 lakh. In this case, the XLOOKUP function searches from the start of this array. The first match is Acme Corporation and it returns a sales value of 2 lakh here. Now again, let us set the search mode to -1 here, -1. Let us see what the result is. We'll hit enter on the keyboard. Here the result is 45 lakhs. The reason is the XLOOKUP function searches from the end of this array and the first match is here, Acme Software. The sales of Acme Software is 45 lakh and it is the result which is displayed here. Let's look at another example. Here we have employee names and their associated sales values. Suppose we have an employee whose name is Henry, but we're not sure about the spelling of his name, whether it is Henry ending with I or Henry ending with Y, we're not sure. To find the sales of Henry, again let's use the XLOOKUP function. Our lookup value will be in double quotes Henry, first these letters, then for last character we'll put a question mark here because the question mark is a wildcard search for a single character. Lookup array will be these values here, comma, return array will be these values here, sales values, comma, if not found, let's ignore if not found, then match mode will set it to 2 wildcard character match, comma, search mode set it to 1, search from first to last, close the parenthesis, hit enter on the keyboard. So here you have the sales of Henry 374127. It is here 374127. Let's change the spelling of Henry, change it to Y. So again the result is the same. Let's look at one last example before we wrap up this video. Here we have customer names and their associated sales amounts. Suppose we are interested in knowing the names of top 3 customers. In this case, again we will use the XLOOKUP function. Since we have to look for top 3 customer names, so our lookup value will be top 3 sales amounts. So to get the top 3 sales amounts, we will use the large function. We have to look up in this column sales amount. We have to look up for top 3 sales values 1, 2, 3. Close the large function, then this will be our lookup value. Then the lookup array will be sales amount here, this column. Then return array will be customer names. Other parameters for the XLOOKUP function are optional, so let's ignore them. Close the parenthesis, hit enter on the keyboard. So here you have top 3 customers based on the sales amount. Let's check it. Irene, 35,000. Nancy, 32,000. Henry, 30,000. So these are the top customers. Notice here in this case the lookup array, that is sales amount, is on the right side, and the return array, that is customer names, is on the left side. This kind of a lookup is called left lookup or reverse lookup. It was not possible with earlier VLOOKUP function. But now you can notice that XLOOKUP function supports left lookup also. Finally, an extra tip here, you have got these customer names in a row. Suppose you want them in a column. In that case, just wrap the XLOOKUP function within the transpose function. Hit enter on the keyboard. So here you have got the customer names, top 3 customers in a column. Now after going through all of these examples, you now know that XLOOKUP function is a more powerful, versatile, effective lookup function than the older lookup functions, and you are not going to use those older lookup functions anymore provided you are using the latest version of Microsoft Excel. So that's it for today. I hope this video was helpful. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Keep supporting, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.